We'll be live for Cowboys versus Texans on Monday Night Football. Our stream will start at 7 p.m. Eastern in time for the 8:15 p.m. kickoff. Do not miss out. We will have some fun giveaways. We'll have some fun things to do and poke fun at Jeremy Chugs in the process. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/CowboysTV. Cowboys are, again, heavy home favorites against the Houston Texans. The vibes around the Cowboys are not very good, and certainly who can blame the Cowboys as a result there. They are a bit banged up at the current moment. Tyler Smith practicing for Mike McCarthy with his knee. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the week. We're putting this on our Thursday live show, so the full injury status designation will be in the comments and in the description of today's show. We'll keep an eye on Hunter Luepke. We'll keep an eye on Tyler Guyton. Vibes are he's going to play. Does not sound like you're going to have Deron Bland, which sucks because we are a month beyond now from the last time he practiced, and that's concerning because he clearly had a setback there. Houston getting some key players back. Nico Collins is back with the hamstring injury. Dameon Pierce can be the backup again. Is coming back from his groin injury. See about guys like Kamari Lassiter and Will Anderson, but relative to the overall rosters, certainly seems like Houston is a healthier team at the moment. Let's talk matchups to watch in this one. And I want to begin with Mike Zimmer, the Cowboys defensive coordinator, against Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive coordinator. And there are moments of stuff I really like out of Slowick and frankly even out of Zimmer. I think both guys have been hamstrung by things they didn't think were going to be massive issues this year. Injuries for Dallas and hurting their pass rush. Texans' offensive line has been a disaster, as we'll get into here in a little bit. They've allowed the highest pressure rate in football this season. And as a result, C.J. Stroud has regressed this year. He has not been as good, a bit of a sophomore slump for the talented young quarterback. But of note, since entering the NFL last season, Stroud has the third most passing yards on intermediate throws, 10 to 19 yards. And this season, about a quarter of them have been in that range, which is the sixth most in football. The Cowboys are allowing the most yards per attempt on those exact throws because your safeties haven't exactly delivered the way you would like them to more often than not. And you've had cornerback injuries and pass rush issues. I would expect to see a lot of digs out of C.J. Stroud and the Slowick-led offense, play action shots, and I think they'll try to push the ball downfield a little bit more this week. So what is your confidence level in the Cowboys beating the Texans? Scale it from 0 to 10. That's why we're adding 0 as an option because the vibes are bad. Go vote the pinned comment, especially the outcomes here on YouTube. Next matchup to watch is Trayvon Diggs against Nico Collins. This assumes Collins plays, but that certainly is the expectation coming out of Houston. Although Diggs is a not good tackler, coverage has actually been pretty solid so far this season for Trayvon Diggs. He's actually done a pretty solid job this year. A couple touchdowns allowed, one of which probably wasn't his fault for Diggs. 7 pass breakups, a couple interceptions, had a really nice one. The only time I got started against Philadelphia, teams have realized, hey, let's not pick on Trayvon Diggs. I don't know if Zimmer will have Diggs shadow Nico Collins. That is probably easier to do this week than it was last week against the Eagles, where they had Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. But Nico is getting healthy, was averaging well over 100 yards per game. He's only played the first half of the fifth game. He is one of the better wide receivers, too, in the NFL. So we'll see if Izzy Mukuamu gets some playing time. But Diggs and Collins, certainly a matchup to watch. Number 3, it is the Cowboys' offensive tackles against the Houston Texans pass rush. Anderson's banged up with an ankle. We'll see about that. Danielle Hunter is a really good football player. Tyler Guyton has been banged up. We'll see. It sounds like he's going to go. I'm curious how D'Amico Ryans deploys and where he lines up Hunter. The Texans have good passers. I think they're missing one more interior presence there, so it should be a little bit easier on some of your interior offensive linemen. But Hunter's a bad matchup for anybody in the NFL, let alone a rookie left tackle and a right tackle that, even when he plays well for his standards, still gets beat like 3 times a game in pass protection. So it's going to be a very challenging matchup once again for your offensive line, and a coaching staff that is already scared of them probably won't inspire confidence. Prize Picks has helped make today's Cowboys Report possible. They are the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your guys ends up getting injured. If your player leaves in the first half, does not return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. The flex play means you can get one wrong and still cash out. This is me and my boy Jack Lotteray cooking it up together. Monday Night Football Prize Picks slates. I got Cooper Rush less than passing yards. Sorry. Joe Mixon more than rushing yards. You guys know it's sound strategy, even though it might hurt a little bit. And Rico Dowdle go more than receiving yards as well. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Let's just flip it for number 4. The Texans offense tackle against the Cowboys pass rush. In particular, Micah Parsons, who has been awesome so far this year when he's been healthy. Up to 3 sacks, 3 TFLs, looked really good against Philadelphia after maybe a bit of a slower start to open the season. Has an 18.2% pressure rate. That's really good. The Texans allowing the 3rd highest pressure rate in football this year. Laramie Tunsil has only allowed 11 pressures. He's got 14 penalties this year. That is penalty boy number 1. So maybe Mike can actually draw a holding flag for once. How about that? Titus Howard, by the way, 22 pressures allowed this year. A lot of interior O-line weaknesses. Don't be shocked if the Cowboys put Micah over the guards a little bit in this matchup. And then we'll flip it again on from 2 to 5 and 5 to 2. Cowboys number 1 receiver, CeeDee Lamb, against Derek Stingley. Now, Stingley doesn't travel a lot. He hasn't had many slot snaps this season. But you have to get CeeDee Lamb the ball. And I mean for more than just like 3 yards per catch. Or 5, whatever it was. His average per catch dropped by a full yard last week. You know how hard that is to do in a football game? It's insane. Lamb is a dynamic football player. Get him the ball. And a little bit more downfield, too. You know, it can't be all short stuff. One bright side, it's a night game. There will be no sun to block him from seeing the ball as it's thrown to him on a scramble drill in the end zone. So do you think the Cowboys score a touchdown this week? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote in the comment section of today's show. For the rest of the season, because your year's over, barring some miracle comeback run here, I'm going to focus my players to watch on young guys. I don't care about the old dudes. I don't. Let's see the youths play. Sounds like Jonathan Mingo is going to play against the Texans on Monday Night Football. That's been what Mingo said, what Mike McCarthy said. I want to see how he's used, because I think his best role is more of a power slot, like how Ole Miss used him as almost as a slot receiver, a big slot receiver. Will Dallas do that? He's at his best on kind of crossing routes, digs, where he can get the ball and run. Or are they just going to put him outside and send the occasional go ball? I don't know. I want to see how he gets played, because frankly, I don't need to see Jalen Brooks get snaps. I need to see Jonathan Mingo get snaps. Number 4, you saw Israel Mukuamu get subbed in for Kalen Carson late last week. I would bet the Cowboys put Izzy on the outside again, because Kalen Carson just doesn't have confidence right now. And it shows. He's not a confident tackler. He's not confident in coverage. This is one of those you should probably sit him so the confidence isn't completely cooked. And that's, for a 5th-round pick, is actually more reasonable than, like your 1st-round pick, who is raw. Has to keep playing. Looking at you, Guyton. Carson, sit him down. Diggs, Lewis, and Mukwamu should be your corners this week against the Houston Texans. So with that in mind, focusing on the young guys, the youths, name a player you're watching against the Houston Texans. Drop that player name or names in the comments section. Got my eye on Jake Ferguson. Random stat of the day. No Dallas Cowboys player tight end has ever caught a TD pass against the Houston Texans. Weird but true stat. Jake Ferguson has not been the same player this year. The guy we saw in the back half of last season hasn't showed up. His average target is down significantly. His yards per catch is down. He hasn't been as dynamic after the catch. I think he is a bit banged up, but he'll fight. He'll compete. But the play has been a bit of a disappointment for Jake Ferguson. I would like to see that get going a little bit. Number 2 is Mozzie Smith. Now, I have adopted the 2025 strategy of I cannot trust Mozzie Smith. I have to find additional defensive linemen. He can change that by playing some great football in the back half of this season. I will say, acknowledging the bar is super low, I thought that game for Mozzie Smith against Philadelphia was his second best game of the year. The Giants game he was actually straight up very good in. This one, he was actually a serviceable defensive tackle. Now, I need more than that from my first-round pick, but that's a couple different games this year. We've at least seen something positive, and I am being positive on this front because the results have just not been very good overall. But I need to see a lot more of that, or else 2025, for the only DT under contract, you treat him like he's not a playable player. Number 1 is DeMarvin Overshown. I wish this was Trey Lance, but they're going to start Cooper Rush, so is what it is. Overshown's been electric this year, and I do wonder how we would have felt about last year's draft class going into this year if Overshown had been healthy. He still has tendency to kind of overrun plays a little bit, but he can blitz, cover. He is consistently flying around the football. He sees it and goes. I think we are very much on an upward arc right now with DeMarvin Overshown. And if you get real, actual NFL front 4 players healthy in front of Overshown, I think you've got Pro Bowl or better potential in your young, athletic linebacker.